Today we are diving into the story of Ruby Franke, a once beloved family vlogger who fell from grace and is now a convicted felon. Ruby Franke's journey began with her family's successful YouTube channel, 8 Passengers, which showcased her life with her husband Kevin and their 6 children. However, what started as a heartwarming family content spiraled into a controversy, culminating in charges of aggravated child abuse. Let's unpack the rise, fall, and the eventual fallout of the Ruby Franke's story, layer by layer, and explore what led to this shocking turn of events. Ruby Franke married her now ex-husband Kevin Franke in 2000. The couple, deeply rooted in the Mormon community of Springville, began their journey as content creators with the launch of their family vlog, 8 Passengers, in 2015. The channel's inception was marked by wholesome content that struck a chord with audiences. Their first major video, a gender reveal party for their youngest child Eve, set the tone for what would become a deeply personal documentation of their family's life. The channel chronicled a wide range of content, from daily routines and homeschooling experiences to family bonding moments and Ruby's unique parenting approach. It was this authenticity that initially drew millions of viewers. By 2019, 8 Passengers had amassed over 2.2 million subscribers, and Ruby quickly became a prominent figure in the niche of family-oriented content.
Worshipping your child will be placing your child's desires over responsibility.
Viewers praised her for her relatability and transparency, as she openly shared her challenges and successes as a mother of 6. The video often featured milestones like teaching her son Chad to shave for the first time, discussing adolescent behavior, or addressing the joys and struggles of raising children in a large family. She frequently toggled between directly interacting with her children and offering her perspective to the audience, often incorporating spiritual undertones and emphasizing traditional values.
Homework! Homework!
So you're all like, what? I have your attention now? Is that it? You're all going to listen? You have something in the bag that you would like out. You can pay cash for it. So you learn the value of your items. Or you can give what? Dad, I'll let you take the conversation from here.
You can do an equivalent value chore to get it back.
What's it?
And whatever isn't claimed by the end of the day goes in the garbage.
For Ruby, 8 Passengers was more than just a YouTube channel. It was a platform for teaching and demonstrating the power of mothers. She proudly articulated her belief in the importance of discipline, structure, and love as foundations of a successful parenting. She saw herself as a role model for mothers everywhere, someone who could inspire others to embrace their role with confidence and intention.
Who said that making the bed and doing the dishes are the basics? Who said that cleaning the floorboards and the light fixtures aren't also the basics? Who said that cleaning out the garage and trimming and maybe weeding that garden space that's always got weeds in it? How come that's not the basic? Your children are so capable of so much more than just the basics. Your child is capable of being motivated internally. And when your child is motivated internally, they are producing character. They are producing connection.
The channel's success was not just measured in views, but also in the opportunities it brought. Sponsorship deals with household brands and collaborations with other influencers elevated the Franke's profile, bringing in significant revenue. The family's content resonated particularly with parents and families who admired Ruby's ability to juggle the demands of a large household while instilling values of faith, responsibility, and resilience in her children. However, as the channel's visibility increased, so did scrutiny from its growing audience. Some viewers began to notice patterns in Ruby's videos that raised questions about her parenting style. While many admired her strict and structured approach, others felt it bordered on harshness, particularly when it came to disciplining her children. Despite the early signs of criticism, Ruby remained steadfast in her belief that her methods were rooted in love and a desire to prepare her children for life's challenges.
No. In this home, you don't get personal space because this is my space because I'm the parent. If you want your own personal space, you'll need to get your own space. This is mine. And as long as you're living in my home, it is my job to know everything about you. You don't get to sneak, you don't get to hide, you don't get to have secrets. Not in my house. Do you see how loving that is? Now, if you're in distortion, you're reeling right now. If you're in distortion, you're ready to pull your hair out right now. You're ready to scream.
At the peak of its success, 8 Passengers was more than a family vlog. It was a cultural phenomenon within the YouTube sphere, setting the standard for family content. Yet as the channel thrived, the seeds of controversy were quietly taking root, hinting at the storm that lay ahead. As 8 Passengers gained popularity, some viewers began noticing red flags in Ruby's parenting style. Criticism fast erupted over a 2019 incident involving her daughter Eve. When Eve forgot her lunch at home, Ruby refused to bring it to school, stating Eve needed to learn responsibility. Ruby's dismissive tone and hope that no one would feed her daughter ignited backlash. In the video, Ruby appeared unapologetic, saying that Eve's hunger was a necessary consequence of her actions.
Got a text message from Eve's teacher, and she said that Eve did not pack a lunch today, and can I bring a lunch over to the school? This happens quite often when you're raising children, because I know that her teacher is uncomfortable with her being hungry and not having a lunch, and it would ease her discomfort if I came to the school with a lunch. But I responded and just said Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry, and hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
This sparked widespread outrage, with many questioning how a mother could let her 5-year-old child go hungry as a form of discipline. Discussions about parenting boundaries erupted on social media, with critics accusing Ruby of being unnecessarily harsh and neglectful. Supporters, however, argued that Ruby's approach was a tough love method intended to teach life lessons. The debate polarized audiences, but the majority leaned toward commending her actions.
A human is Ruby Franke. So wild to me that after hearing all these allegations and seeing videos of things that she's done, there are still so many of you watching those clips and justifying what she's doing, which I shouldn't be surprised because over 2 million of y'all subscribe to her YouTube. That woman was doing is not tough parenting at all. In the first clip you saw, her daughter forgot to make her lunch, right? And instead of the mom saying, oh, let me go drop it off, she's like, no, you have to suffer through. Guess you gotta go hungry. That's the natural consequence. Absolutely not. Anytime you're withholding food from someone, it's not a form of punishment. That's abuse. Your job as a parent, and I loosely use the term parent to describe this woman, your job at bare minimum as a parent is to make sure your child has food to eat, that they're healthy, and that they have a safe place to sleep.
Another controversial incident involved Ruby's eldest son, Chad. In 2019, Ruby revealed that Chad had been sent to a wilderness therapy program for 10 weeks as a punishment for being expelled from school. Ruby shared this decision on the channel, framing it as a necessary step to help Chad develop resilience and take accountability for his actions. The therapy program, described as an outdoor invitation camp for troubled youth, involved survival skills and intense physical challenges. While Ruby and Kevin justified the decision as an investment in their son's character development, critics found the punishment extreme and questioned the emotional toll such a program might have had on a teenager. The lack of transparency about why Chad had been expelled from school further fueled suspicions that the punishment was more about control than guidance.
It did have damaging effects. There was spoiling in the children, and one of our children showed up in a real concerning way, and we knew that we had a certain amount of years before this child was going to be an adult and be out on his own. And so we said, what is the most loving thing that we can do for this child? And so we spent weeks and months inviting this child to change, holding this child accountable. And when that wasn't a decision we could see that this child was going to make, we said, okay, what is a visceral experience that we can offer this child as a gift? And having him go to a wilderness therapy camp was what we came up with, because we didn't want the other children to think that we were condoning the behavior that was going on in the home.
and we wanted to give this child the best shot at truth.
These incidents painted a troubling picture of Ruby's parenting philosophy, which many felt prioritized strict discipline over empathy and emotional support. Critics began identifying the recurring theme in her content, the belief that children needed to face significant hardships to develop character. Ruby often framed her methods as preparing her children for the real world, where resilience and independence were essential. However, this approach was frequently interpreted as neglectful and unnecessarily punitive. Defenders of Ruby's parenting argued that she was instilling valuable lessons about accountability, but her growing number of detractors saw a pattern of neglect, harshness, and emotional detachment. Over time, these concerns only deepened as more stories and behaviors came to light. The controversies didn't stop there. In 2020, Chad shared in a video that he had been forced to sleep on a beanbag chair for 7 months as punishment for a prank on his younger brother. The prank, where Chad woke his younger sibling under the pretense that the family was going to Disneyland, may have seemed incautious to some but resulted in what many viewed as a disappropriate punishment.
I'm only going to say it one more time, and then you're going to lose the privilege to eat dinner.
My bedroom was taken away for 7 months, and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that.
You've been sleeping on a beanbag.
I've been sleeping on a beanbag since October, and they gave my room back like 2 weeks ago. Oh, I'll give you the reason why I lost my bedroom. I think so. I think this is the reason. At least this is the reason that's been in my head. It's pretty funny, but now that I look back, I mean, it's pretty depressing.
No, we never told our viewers.
That I woke Russell up at 2 in the morning and told him that we're going to Disneyland and he has to pack. And he got up and made his bed all neatly and then packed all his clothes in a suitcase. And then he walked out the door and I'm like, Russell, and he's like, what? And he's all happy. Has his sunglasses on.
Ruby's reaction in the video, jokingly threatening to impose the same punishment again, only added fuel to the fire. The revelation not only shocked viewers but also led to widespread outrage across social media platforms. TikTok creators dissected the video, and mainstream outlets like the Daily Mail ran stories that further amplified public criticism. The incident became a symbol of what many considered Ruby's overly harsh and punitive parenting style, with critics labeling her methods as not just strict but outright abusive.
Give a safe place to sleep for her children because her son, right here, he talks about how his mom took his bedroom away for 7 months and he couldn't sleep on anything but a beanbag. A beanbag. So she's not feeding them, right? She's not making sure they have a safe place to sleep. And oh yeah, they're not healthy. When the police found her children, they were malnourished and dehydrated because, you know, she didn't feed them. This is why I sometimes get grossed out by social media. Because millions of people watched her videos of her abusing her children, gave her a platform, gave her fame, allowed her to monetize her account so she could profit off of the abuse of these children. Y'all watched and said, that's some good fucking parenting. No, it's just horrific abuse. And if you've watched her videos and found yourself agreeing with a lot of the stuff that she's doing, you should stop and reflect on your parenting skills. Because you're probably the same people that thought cracking an egg on your child's head and humiliating them was funny.
Public scrutiny intensified when Ruby's video began to showcase even more questionable behavior. In one instance, Ruby threatened to cut off the head of a teddy bear as a form of discipline, an action that many felt was unnecessarily cruel and psychologically damaging for a child. In another video, she discussed taking away her children's Christmas presents as punishment for perceived misbehavior. These actions were heavily scrutinized as they seemed to prioritize control over fostering, understanding, or emotional growth. The sense of unease among viewers deepened when Ruby openly shared deeply personal moments from her children's lives, such as filming her daughter's first menstrual period. This invasion of privacy not only humiliated the children, but also left them vulnerable to bullying at school, as their peers mocked them for moments that should have remained private. Viewers began combing through Ruby's content with a fine-tooth comb, uncovering what they believed to be a consistent pattern of emotionally detached and overly punitive behavior. Ruby's interactions with her children often lacked empathy or understanding, with punishments that many felt were excessively harsh given the circumstances.
Things that she did to her children, I don't understand how this happens.
Yeah.
Horrible person.
Gosh.
While Ruby's defenders argue that her methods were grounded in a desire to instill discipline and resilience, for many, it was evident that her parenting psychology had crossed a line. The repeated examples of what critics described as abusive behavior cast a shadow over the family's content, shifting the public's perception of Ruby from a strict but loving mother to someone whose actions were causing genuine harm to her children. By mid-2020, public outrage reached its peak, a petition demanding that Utah's Division of Child and Family Services, DCFS, investigate the Frankes gained over 16,000 signatures. Despite this, a visit from Child Protective Services, CPS, found no evidence of abuse, leaving the public disillusioned.
Anything that comes into this house belongs to who? Yeah. Belongs to me.
The backlash led to sponsors like Clorox and Norton pulling out. Ruby's attempts to defend herself, including claims that incidents were taken out of context, only deepened skepticism. As the channel's subscriber count plummeted, Ruby stopped posting on 8%ers and shifted focus to a new venture. The decline of 8%ers marked a turning point in Ruby's life. What had once been a thriving platform for a family content had become a lightning rod of controversy. Ruby's reputation was in tatters, and her family was under intense public scrutiny. In 2022, Ruby partnered with Jodi Hildebrandt, a counselor and founder of Corn Sections, a mental fitness program that promised to provide guidance on living a life aligned with truth together, and they launched a channel called Moms of Truth, which quickly became a controversial platform. Their advice often revolved around rigged interpretations of Mormon principles, portraying strict adherence to their teachings as the only path to moral clarity. They heavily emphasized concepts like separating from family members who were deemed not living the truth, a doctrine that many felt encouraged estrangement and division within families.
Hi, we are live in Mapleton, Utah at a home of somebody who is learning how to be a mental fitness trainer. And we have Ruby here. And Ruby is a part of the original 10 women that are being trained to become mental fitness trainers. So Ruby, you want to tell us about what a mental fitness trainer is?
Yes, so we are getting mentally fit the same way your body would get physically fit by running and lifting weights and working with a personal trainer. We are getting ready to be your mental fitness trainer. We're getting truth, really easy to teach. We're making it very simple, boiling it down to principles. That's how you're going to understand truth, is really knowing principles, being able to put words to it and help you, and you're gonna feel so much better.
Harsh discipline was also promoted as a necessary tool for maintaining order and moral integrity within the household. The teachings of Moms of Truth were met with widespread criticism, with former participants of Corn Sections describing the experience as manipulative and like a cult. Many shared stories of emotional harm, fractured family relationships, and psychological distress caused by the program's stringent and punitive practices. Critics argued that the program preyed on vulnerable individuals, isolating them from their support systems under the guise of healing and self-improvement. Despite the backlash, Ruby appeared to fully embrace these doctrines, claiming that her departure from vlogging was an act of love meant to save her children. However, her new content suggested otherwise. Instead of protecting her children, Ruby seemed to double down the authoritarian parenting methods, justifying them as acts of truthful living. Ruby's partnership with Jodi marked a significant and troubling shift in her public persona. Was seen as a relatable, if strict mother on 8%ers, Ruby now projected as an image of unyielding judgment and moral superiority. Observers noted that her behavior became increasingly authoritarian, mirroring the rigid and punitive teachings promoted by Jodi. This association with Jodi also highlighted deeper issues in Ruby's personal life. Many began to view Jodi as a manipulative figure who amplified Ruby's worst tendencies, steering her farther away from her family and friends. Under Jodi's influence, Ruby's relationship with loved ones appeared to deteriorate, as she reportedly distanced herself from anyone who questioned her actions or beliefs. Ultimately, this partnership would play a pivotal role in Ruby's legal trouble. Jodi's teachings not only reinforced Ruby's extreme parenting practices, but also created an environment where the mistreatment of her children could escalate, and for many, the collaboration between Ruby and Jodi symbolized the dangers of unchecked authority, manipulation, and the misuse of faith-based ideologies to justify harmful behavior. On August 30th, 2023, Ruby's 12-year-old son escaped from Jodi's house in Evans, Utah, in what can only be described as a desperate attempt to save his life.
This is new release footage after 12-year-old Russell escaped from Jodi Hildebrandt's house back in August 2023. He was kept tied up in Jodi's house along with his sister, and after he escaped, he ran to this neighbor's home to get some help. He had cuts and sores on his wrists and ankles. I can't help but notice how skinny and frail he looks.
It detailed the brutal treatment the children had been subjected to, including forced isolation, denial of food, and physical restraints. The revelations were gut-wrenching. These were not isolated incidents, but part of a sustained pattern of abuse orchestrated under the guise of discipline. Ruby and Jodi were promptly arrested on charges of aggravated child abuse. The authorities' investigation highlighted the systematic nature of the abuse, with both women playing central roles in enforcing cruel and inhumane punishments.
Police officers, open up! Jodi, I need you to step out.
I have my turn.
That's great. Step out of the house.
No, I'm not going to step out of the
Step
house.
out of the house. Step out of the house.
Whoa.
We're just going to see. Is there anybody else home?
Wait a minute, how do you come to my house?
Right there.
Look, they go into my house.
Just have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant?
Have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant?
Have a seat right there. I'll explain everything after. Have a seat right there.
I can tell you what's in the house.
Okay. Just have a seat right there for me.
Do you have a search warrant?
We'll explain it after this.
You can't just come into my house without a search warrant.
We'll explain everything after this, ma'am.
In the aftermath of the arrest, Ruby's eldest daughter, Shari, took to social media to express her relief, sharing that she had been trying to alert authorities to the abuse for years. Finally, she wrote alongside a photo of police vehicles outside the home. Shari's statements added further context to the years of concern and suspicion surrounding Ruby's parenting, as she revealed that her pleas for intervention had largely gone unanswered until this breaking point. The arrest marked the culmination of years of escalating controversy and public concern about Ruby's parenting. For many, it was a moment of vindication, validation that their suspicions and outcry over Ruby's treatment of her children were not unfounded. Yet this moment of justice was overshadowed by the tragic realization of the extent to which Ruby's children had suffered. The scars, both physical and emotional, left by the ordeal were a stark reminder of the damage caused by unchecked abuse, raising urgent questions about the systems that failed to protect these children. Ruby and Jodi were charged with 6 felony counts of aggravated child abuse, a case that drew widespread media attention and public outrage. In December 2023, Ruby pled guilty to 4 of these counts, acknowledging her direct role in inflicting and allowing severe physical harm to her children. The abuse detailed in court documents was harrowing. Children subjected to forced labor under extreme heat, prolonged food deprivation, and the use of physical restraint that left visible scars. Ruby's admission shed light on a grim reality that had been concealed behind the public's facade of a wholesome family. During the sentencing, the judge highlighted the severity of the punishments Ruby had imposed, describing them as both cruel and inhumane. The court heard how the children's basic needs were systematically denied, leaving them not only physically injured but emotionally traumatized. Ruby was sentenced to serve a term of 1 to 15 years in prison, with the Utah Board of Pardons tasked with determining the exact duration based on her behavior and progress while incarcerated.
Ms. Franke held her children, ages 9 and 11, in a concentration camp-like setting. The children were regularly denied food, water, beds to sleep in, and virtually all forms of entertainment.
Prosecutors were particularly adamant about Jodi Hildebrandt's role, portraying her as a manipulative influence who orchestrated much of the abuse under the guise of discipline and spiritual guidance. Jodi's tactics were linked to those of a cult leader, exploiting Ruby's vulnerabilities and isolating her from friends and family who might have intervened. Ruby's own family echoed these sentiments in their statements, describing how Jodi's influence drove a wedge between Ruby and her loved ones. Despite the allegations of manipulation, Ruby stood in court, accepted full responsibility for her actions. Tearfully, she expressed remorse, stating, "I failed my children in the most unimaginable ways. But I hope to spend my time in prison, learning and growing so I can one day ask for their forgiveness." Her words struck a smoother note in the courtroom, underscoring the tragic nature of a case that had shattered a family and shocked a nation.
I would do anything in this world for you. I took from you all that was soft and safe and good. I took from you your mother. How terrifying this must have been for you.
Ruby Franke's case serves a stark warning about the dangers of extreme parenting ideologies and the exploitation of children in family vlogging. It also raises questions about the ethics of family channels, privacy violations, and the long-term impact on children. Should family vlogging have stricter guidelines to protect children? Should it be eliminated altogether? Where do we draw the line between sharing family moments and exploiting them for views? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on this case and others like it.